Millions of people play Apex Legends daily. Some naturally improve faster than others, but what if there was a guaranteed way to not only improve, but improve at a rate that puts you way ahead of the competition? Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name's Cam. I'm an Apex Legends content creator, and on this channel we explore guides, tips, and tricks to help you reach your potential. Recently, I've been no-filling anytime I'm playing Apex. Immediately, I noticed that my quality of games had doubled, I wasn't getting tilted, and was having a lot of fun, which was somewhat surprising. What I didn't expect would be all the lessons I learned along the way. So, with that being said, let's dive in. Patience is vital. One of the most frustrating things in Apex is getting a knock, but not being able to capitalize. Becoming a better player is realizing when you can be aggressive and when you got to reset. So often people throw their life away trying to finish a knock instead of fighting the next man up. If you're in a 1v2 situation and you get a knock, now it's a 1v1. The hard part is over. But so many people don't look at it this way. They charge in hoping to thirst, and worst case, if they get knocked, they still have their teammate. That's not how you want to look at situations like these. You never want to rely on anyone but yourself in Apex. Understanding push and pull. If you ever watch creators like Fade or from my controller lovers, Ecstasy, both have mastered this concept. This is a huge fundamental of Apex. First, we'll start with push. Typically, the rule of thumb is if you crack your opponent or win the trade, the opponent will have to heal, which holsters their gun, allowing you to take space risk free, putting you in a position to finish off the kill. The second half of this concept really separates the good from the great players. Pull is all about how you can lure your opponent into an advantageous situation for you. Typically, pull is used when you're either down a player or you lost the initial trade and the opponent is pushing you. Since playing no-fill, I start every fight at a disadvantage. Most players recognize I'm alone fairly early in the fight. This naturally makes them more aggressive, and this is when I use pull to my advantage. I'm constantly breaking line of sight and keeping space, trying to dish out as much damage as possible while taking as little as possible in return. I'm also doing what I can to separate the opponents and create as much distance as I can from one another. If you master this concept, you'll never need teammates again. Take ownership. Arguably my favorite thing about no-fill is you versus everyone. The only thing you have is yourself. Sounds a little scary, but in terms of getting better, nothing beats it. When we play with teammates, randoms especially, it's human nature to want to push the blame. Doing this is a detriment to you getting better. When you stop pointing the blame elsewhere and self reflect on what you could have done better, you'll really start to see an increase in your skill and gameplay overall. The only thing you should spend brain power on is what you can control, not the random person you don't know. One thing I want to add to really drive this point home is when you push the blame, you lose the opportunity to learn. And sadly, because of this, you're going to continuously make the same mistake over and over again until you start to point the finger back at yourself. Highly recommend dropping the ego. You'll enjoy this game so much more. Becoming self-reliant. Probably the biggest takeaway from the whole video is this. Chances are when your teammate goes down, you suddenly feel a sense of panic. Maybe only momentarily, but nonetheless, your senses are heightened. The team's survival is in your hands, and for a lot of people, it makes them uncomfortable. And most of the time, they will just run in not thinking or using their head whatsoever. We've all been there, but understand this is not how you want to play. If you've never heard of the term play your life or I'm playing my life, essentially it's you telling your teammates they're going to get finished and you're going to reposition and reset. And then either try to pull off the clutch, or if you're in ranked, you're probably just going to rat out the rest of the game. If any of this sounds like you, no fill is a great option for this. You start off every game in this specific situation, and you'll notice over time you won't feel the same sense of unsettledness when you're last alive on your team. You might even learn to like it. The best feeling in Apex is clutching up for the squad. No fill is a great way to master that. Increase in confidence. For anyone who doesn't know, confidence is a huge part of having regular success in Apex. No fill is a guaranteed way to help with building that. Just think about it. If you're constantly winning 1v2s or 1v3s, how excited are you to take a measly 1v1? For me, I'm oozing at the mouth for any 1v1 opportunity I get. Not to say you always win them, but initially you take the fight like you never lose. And it's hard to explain, but the other opponent can feel it. Have you ever fought someone and during the fight you thought, okay, this guy's for real? This is essentially what I'm talking about. The legend isn't saying or doing anything different per se, but he's posturing in a very confident killer-like mentality. Apex becomes really fun once you tap into this. Playing cover correctly. We've touched on a lot of very important topics today, but this one may take the cake. Because it's just you out there, taking unnecessary damage or playing cover incorrectly will quickly have you back in lobby. Because time to kill in Apex is longer than your typical FPS shooter, pulling off the 1v2 or 1v3 is more difficult. This is where playing cover correctly comes into play. Most times you won't have enough time to peek from cover and hit a nice one clip. You're going to have to break up your peeks. For example, you might jump to catch a quick snapshot of where the opponents are and what cover they are playing. Then you line up where you think they are, peek, and quickly do 50 damage before re-entering cover. Now this gives you a 1v1. The opponent you just hit for 50 will pop a cell or bat, so now you have a short window to challenge the other opponent without having two guns looking at you. Or maybe just gives you enough time to reposition and start pulling like we talked about earlier. Each situation is different, but this principle applies to every one of them. Break up your peaks and try to switch your thinking from let me try to do as much damage as possible to let me try and take as little damage as possible while still outputting damage. This is a game changer. Misplays are amplified. There's no safety net when playing solos, so everything you do right or wrong is highlighted. This is a huge benefit to getting better. It's hard to improve if you don't know where you're falling short. Luckily, when you play no fill, it's impossible to not see what you did wrong and what cost you that particular fight. Sometimes it can be extremely humbling, but I truly do think it's the fastest way to improve in Apex. So if you're anything like me and want to go from A to B as fast as possible, I highly suggest you start playing solo. If you like this video, you'll love the other guides I've made. Again, my channel is centered around helping you reach your potential as a player. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. I work hard to bring you guys the best content possible, and it would mean a lot to me. Subscribe if you're new. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.